Let's talk about compromise in terms of connectivity, because this is one of the most difficult aspects that you will find time and time again in terms of the connection charts that you have in your account. Maybe you have a relationship yourself. If you look at that chart, undoubtedly you would be very lucky to not have compromised channels. And the definition of a compromised channel in terms of human design is that one person in the connection, in this case let's take person A, the orange person, he has the channel of structuring, this verbal channel that is communicating or explaining insights, the insights coming from the 43 to be explained over and over and over again by the 23. This forms the channel of structuring. So this is a consistent definition in person A's design, the orange person, and it will always be there regardless of what connectivity conditioning this person is going to have to submit to in terms of intimacy. Now, the other person, in terms of a compromised channel, has an aspect of that channel in their foundation design. It could be the 23 or the 43. It could be in an undefined or a defined center for them. So in this case, person B, the blue, has the 23rd gate, the only gate in the throat center, and it is in an undefined center, so it comes and goes. Well, when these two come together in the connectivity aura, they condition each other, and the structuring channel is fully triggered inside of person B at this point. So they now think, their mind now thinks that they have this consistent way of communicating, and suddenly, out of nowhere, here are the insights coming out of their own ajna, the 43. Well, the compromise comes because the one that has the channel is used to communicating their own insights. They are not going to truck interference from anybody else, and yet the one that has the condition structuring channel, person B in this case, well, yes, they think they can verbalize with this channel, but they're always going to get resistance at the 43rd gate end of it. No, that is a terrible insight. No, I'm not going to think about that. Why are you even bringing that up? Let's think about this. This will be the type of bickering that goes on between these two people with this channel compromised. Because in this case the structuring channel is individual, its very nature is to be deaf, hard of hearing, not actually hard of hearing. It's programmed to deny interference, and thus part of that denying interference is not even listening to what the other person has to say. So this is somewhat one-way traffic. So to have a compromised channel that is individual and it's verbalized like this can be very, very difficult, and clearly can lead to a lot of arguments and misunderstandings. Oh, my partner doesn't understand me. Oh, my partner talks through me. This will be the lament of this particular compromised channel, and there really is nothing you can do. You can't blame person A because of their genetic lineage. You can't just rub that channel out in terms of the connection because it's not very convenient. It is what it is. A compromise is always there. It's the thorn in the foot. It's that itch you cannot scratch. And certainly in terms of, well, how do I deal with compromise? There is no dealing with compromise. If the one with the channel backs down, they're not living their design, and that can lead, certainly in terms of an individual channel, to melancholy. So there's no backing down from one's innate nature. So really it's up to the person that doesn't have the channel to understand their design. Look, I don't have the structuring channel in my design, and in the context of this relationship, well, I'm only ever going to be talking into a headwind if I try and argue with person A here. So the best thing to do is pull out one of those lovely highlighters, the big yellow highlighter, or put a big ring around that and say, look, I'm not going there. In the context of this relationship, relationship, my 23rd gate is absolutely irrelevant. And, I have my power in other areas. I've got my channel of logic up there. I think logically relative to the ajna process. The other person has the answers, but they don't really know what questions to ask. So it's my questions that will win out there. And of course, if you're in a relationship where that kind of openness, look at your design, look at my design, well, you can navigate certainly compromise, and it doesn't mean that the relationship is finished because it's riddled with compromise. It simply means that there are aspects of this relationship where if you keep going there, this will end up being the beginning of the end, and ultimately compromise usually does spell the end, because the one that doesn't have the channel is always trying to change the channel that they fell in love with in the first place. And if you start trying to change your partner, well, that's the worst thing you can do in terms of connectivity. And eventually, it doesn't matter how many yes dears that come out, they will live their design, whether openly or secretly, and eventually it creates fissures. So compromise is very difficult in terms of a union. Every channel has its particular mechanism where that compromise is going to rear its ugly head. If we take the surrender channel, for example, that person A has, mainly unconscious, but still it's a reliable movement of energy. Well, the 44 coming to meet and the ego at the other end manipulated by the 44 is like a hot and a cold tap, and the channel itself can synthesize just the right temperature to get the message across, and it's going to be a valuable message given that it's tribal. And here the 44, well, it's trying to manipulate the ego, and person B has no chance in terms of this particular union. They could meet somebody with a hanging 26, it would then be an attraction or an electromagnetic channel. It would have a completely different tenor in terms of a relationship. But in this relationship, the message is certainly coming out through person A, and person B is the one that should say, yes dear, that's none of my interest, that's not who I am, I don't have the surrender channel.